Greetings, fellow Earthlings. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of And Another Thing with Dave. I want to thank all of our listeners from all over the world. Please do subscribe and share if you're not already. All right, let's get into it.
So what do you think? What do you think? Should we go through the rest of these here real quick, or should we pop some bubbles? What do you want to do? You want to bust through the rest of the information, and then we could just open it up to conversation?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go through the rest of the information, and then we'll burn through these bubbles here.
Okay, cool. So the next one I want to talk about then is Operation COINTELPRO. This is an FBI program, and it stands for Counterintelligence Program. This is a fascinating one. I was watching a program on Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman, and she was interviewing the 4 people that are responsible for this information. So 4 people broke into the FBI headquarters and stole a bunch of their documents. So that's how this one came to light, is in the FBI's own writing through stolen documents. So it's pretty mind-blowing, man.
Wow.
I did a whole podcast on this one if people want to dig deeper and specifically into COINTELPRO. My podcast is And Another Thing with Dave. You can find it on every different platform. But anyway, so this was to investigate left-leaning, not only politicians, but actors, universities, professors, and apparently Ronald Reagan was working with the FBI in Operation COINTELPRO, basically as a rat on left-leaning actors in Hollywood. So it's potential. So that there's a potential that maybe he got his governorship as a thank you from the FBI.
Yeah, maybe.
But they also they infiltrated the Black Panthers, committed brutal. They infiltrated and annihilated the Black Panthers, basically, murdered a bunch of them, jailed a bunch for life. They infiltrated the activist group Earth First. And in these documents, this is the most harrowing part that I saw in my research, is that the FBI went so far as to say a progressive party will never take power in the United States. So,
yeah,
right there, did they have a hand in the Kennedy thing? Did they have a hand in the Martin Luther King thing? Would they have let Bernie become president? All questions.
No,
don't really want to go there. But
I saw that happen. I saw those dominoes fall one by one. Every single one of those cocksuckers pledged allegiance to Joe Biden. Every single one of them. And you're like, wow, this was decided. This wasn't like the people deciding. That was the DNC deciding.
Oh, absolutely. And you heard that Obama personally made a phone call to Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg asking them to drop out of the race, right?
No, but I believe it.
Yeah. So Obama dropped a phone call personally on them, asking them to drop out because that would have made Biden look so much better. And it did.
Wow.
Because he went from trailing, from being nobody. He was Sleepy Joe to all of a sudden the forefront, the leader. Like, wow,
yeah.
Okay. How'd that happen?
It happened in a matter of 2 weeks. In a matter of 2 weeks.
And like you said, it happened in a boardroom of the DNC.
Yeah. 100%.
So,
I mean, that's because there's so many people that I talk to, both in this country and not in this country, that say your guys' problem is there's only 2 parties, and there's only 2 that's why there's such a divide, because there's only 2 parties.
Absolutely.
Which is terrifying now. No, I mean it's terrifying now to hear from FBI documents that it was documented, in black and white, there'll never be a third party.
I mean,
Wow.
that's harrowing, right? Because that's what we need in this country more than anything. Yeah, it's unbelievable. My analogy of our two-party system is that you're leaving a concert, right? And you're
Yeah.
choosing which door to go out. Doesn't really matter. They all lead to the same hallway. You
The
got the
red
left
pill
door,
or the blue pill?
right? You got the left door, you go out the right door, it leads to the same hallway. Same donors, same ruling class.
Yeah.
Same.
Same.
Excuse me, I got a cough 1 sec.
No, go ahead. Yeah. It's that's nuts to think about.
Yeah, it really is. So that brings us to the infamous MK Ultra program. So the main article that I'm referencing for this one, and that I referenced I did a podcast on this one also, is from NPR's Terry Gross, the CIA's secret quest for mind control, torture, LSD, and a poisoner in chief. Now, this is an absolute mind blow. So brace yourselves, people. We're getting in deep right here. The poisoner and chief, exactly.
Wow.
This is Fresh Air. I'm Terry Gross. You may have heard the stories about CIA's secret experiments with LSD through the 60s, in which counterculture luminaries like Ken Kesey, Allen Ginsberg were first introduced to the drug. There's a lot more to the CIA's experiments with LSD, and some of it is pretty horrifying. My guest journalist, Stephen Kinzer, has spent several years investigating the CIA's mind control program, which was known as MK Ultra. LSD was just one of the mind-altering drugs that were tested in the program to see if and how they could be weaponized to control human behavior. Many of the unwitting subjects of these experiments were subject to what amounts to psychological torture. The MK Ultra program was created by Sidney Gottlieb in 1953. He ran it until it was shut down in the early 60s. Gottlieb, also the CIA's chief chemist, created poisons and innovative ways of surreptitiously administering them. He became head of the CIA program that creates high-tech gadgets for spies to use, so like James Bond. Stephen Kinzer's new book is called Poisoner in Chief, Sidney Gottlieb and the CIA Search for Mind Control. One of Kinzer's previous books about the Dulles brothers, Alan and John Foster Dulles. Alan Dulles was the CIA director most of the years MK Ultra was in operation. Okay, so
Wow.
So that's a brief overview. And then what he goes into here in this article is that they would use electric shock therapy. So all the stuff that we heard about in Guantanamo, that was developed during MK Ultra.
Yeah.
The most harrowing thing I learned here, this is a mind blow. The CIA. So this guy had a basically $80 million a year budget in the 70s, answered to nobody. And apparently, he bought the entire world supply of LSD to use in the United States for this mind control program.
Yeah.
They went so far as to rent hotel rooms in San Francisco. They would have prostitutes on the CIA payroll, and they would put hidden cameras in these hotel rooms, and they would have the prostitutes slip the John acid, LSD, somehow, and then they would film the person unknowingly. They also tested on soldiers, on prisoners, and this is really messed up. They tested in mental institutions. They also, the Boston, MIT was involved, Stanford University, UC Berkeley, the Boston Hospital. I mean, this was a nationwide program of massive proportions.
Wow.
I mean, just absolutely mind-blowing, like bordering on like science fiction, right? Like you would not believe this.
It borders on a science fiction or some sort of like the best movie, like a good movie plot, but yet it's real.
Here it is. In the early 1950s, he arranged for the CIA to pay $240,000 to buy the world's entire supply of LSD. He brought this to the United States and began spreading it around to hospitals, clinics, prisons, and other institutions. Wow.
So you literally have people getting arrested and ruining somebody's life. Like LSD is nothing to mess around with. I don't know firsthand experience. It really isn't.
Yeah, and especially like if to be dosed with it and not knowing, like it's one thing.
Know. Yeah.
One thing if you're like, "Ooh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go on this crazy psychological journey." You prepare yourself mentally. But if all of a sudden 1 minute you're just losing your mind and you have no idea why, could you imagine?
Yeah. So you have people getting ruining people's lives like that, and then you also have people getting in trouble and arrested and sentenced to jail for like distributing and taking this drug, when really it's your government's your government's highest authorities distributing it.
Thank
Are you
you.
kidding me?
Right? Are you kidding me? Yeah, and then there's
we all know about cocaine and CIA. Like that's a rumor, right? Or is it proven true? I don't know.
that
The
one's
CIA brought cocaine, into America.
that one's proven. That is the Iran Contra scandal. George Bush Sr. was vice president, and he was the former head of the CIA, so he knows all the most corrupt people in the world, and worked hand in hand with them for years. So yeah, he utilized those contacts. He worked with Barry Seal, a huge drug smuggler. They actually converted a former CIA plane to be a smuggling plane, removed everything from it. They could fly 3 tons of cocaine in per trip, and they had 2 planes with the identical serial numbers. And that's what got them busted. One of the planes got shot down in Nicaragua, and they traced the numbers, and it was a CIA plane. That's what unearthed the whole thing. But it was way deeper than that. We were illegally smuggling cocaine into the U.S., shutting down our national security system to do it, putting the entire nation at risk, so that then they could sell that cocaine, which created the crack epidemic. Then they took the money that they got from that cocaine, illegally bought weapons, and gave those to Iran to use against Iraq. So the whole thing was illegal, corrupt, and directly going against Congress's orders of no, we're not going to support Iran against Iraq.
Like
America. It goes so deep.
The original
Dude, it goes so deep.
OG, guys. Like, you want the biggest gangsters out there? I'm going to say America pretty much makes it. Like, are you kidding me?
That's it. And this is how Bill Clinton got his start in politics. Riddle me this. How does the governor from the poorest state in the country rise to presidency? Well, he worked with George Bush smuggling coke into Mena, Arkansas, the most remote airstrip in the United States. And that, that got him into, quote unquote, the club.
Into the club, yeah. Wow.
That club that George Carlin talks about. It's one big club, and you're not in it.
Was it Clubhouse? Yeah. I'm definitely not in that.
Yeah, me either. I'm not an iPhone guy, but hey, whatever. So there it is. So man, that was a mouthful. Like, see, my mind is blown. I've been thinking about this, talking about this, researching this so much, but just reading this to you, Big Bear, it still blows my mind. Like, I'm getting goosebumps. Like, this is almost unreal. It's so hard to grasp.
All right. Well, we've been putting these messages off long enough. Let's hear what everyone has to say about it.
Yeah, right? Let's get to the people.
9/11 was an inside job.
That's a belief.
That is a belief.
Operation Iron Mountain.
Oh, I'm going to look that up. Thank you.
Okay. Operation Iron Mountain. Yeah, I don't have any knowledge of these. And another thing, he enjoys doing this stuff, and I find it interesting. So I'm honestly, I take it from kind of the listener's standpoint that I don't know anything that's going on. And another thing, you do a lot of research on all of this stuff, corroborated sources type of research.
Well, it fires me up. I'm very passionate about it, so I've got ceaseless energy when it comes to that. Yeah.
There you go. So I mean, I find you to be a good source to a reliable source for me. But of course, I'm gonna research things that I find interesting as well. So let's keep
Absolutely.
going.
Yeah.
What do you guys know about Operation Iron Mountain?
Yeah,
I don't
again,
know anything about Operation Iron Mountain, but I wrote that down. And once again, if you folks have any of these little nugs of wisdom, please, let them drop them on me here, because I got a notepad and a pen right here, so I'm taking notes. So, Christo, thank you for mentioning Operation Mountain. I'm gonna look that up.
yeah, Iron Mountain. Yep.
Well, if it doesn't mean anything, then it actually has to mean something, because it equals something. You know what I mean? Those sums of those numbers equal the same number over and over. So that has to mean something, even if it means nothing. That still means it's something.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I was agreeing with you. I
Okay.
was just moving on. That's all.
Yeah, he was referring to that numerology thing we were talking about, that every number on the clock, if you add them up, equals 13 or something. Something we'd have to look into, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it's
Bill
very
Gates
interesting.
is buying all the farms. The fucking Clintons are buying all the Bushes are buying all the fucking lakes. You know what I mean? You know what they're doing. Come on.
Well, I haven't heard that. That's interesting. I would be interested in any links that you have. So if anybody has any nuggets of info that you want to share, please drop me a link on my Instagram, because I consider myself an open-minded skeptic. I'll consider anything, but then I want some proof.
Yeah, exactly. And the way that you do that is you're going to tap on our faces, and then you hit the three dots underneath our name. And my Instagram account is there, and another thing's Instagram account is there. And that way you can message us and DM us and give us those links for proof. Just show us your sources. That's all.
That's right. And please, folks, clap it up a little bit. Hit those hands right there. Go ahead and blow those hands up a little bit. That sends claps up, and that affects the algorithms of the app, and will actually draw more people to this conversation. And the more people we have in the room, the more dynamic the conversation is, and the more places it can go, the more people we can touch. So,
Yeah,
please clap it up
exactly.
a little bit. Go ahead, hit that arrow, share this talk, and if you're not already, please follow Big Bear Radio. He's a super pro, amazing dude, open-minded. As you can tell, he's open-minded and just willing to listen, and he's got a lot to say as well. So I feel honored and privileged to be talking with you, and I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. It's and another thing, give him a follow. Like, he's very talented, very knowledgeable, very funny. He's come into mine and Irish Dad's talks, and like, we had a Trump off the other day. That was, oh my god, that was so much fun. We had a Trump off. You know where you won? And another thing, where you won was when you started talking about touching yourself to the other one's voice, because it sounded so similar to yours. That's where you won. You're just like, oh my god, you sound so much like me. Oh, keep doing it. Yes, yes. Oh yeah. I was like,
I
that's it.
just
And another thing wins.
I just imagine Donald Trump getting off listening to his own voice or
To
watching a
himself,
video
yeah.
of himself.
Yeah. No, I
and
get it. That
and what
was
made
great.
what made me think of that was, like, somebody that was talking about his daily briefings
Yeah.
was saying that in order for him to read their speeches, they need to put his name in the speech like 20 times to keep his attention.
Wow. Really? They need to keep it.
Yes.
Wow.
Like that's legitimately from somebody who was like, oh my god, so we figured out how to get him to be able to read the whole paragraph.
Yes, reading it is one thing, though, but comprehension, that's the other thing. Did we?
Yeah, well, yeah.
What about the Tuskegee Experiments? What about there's hundreds of things that they've done that are now common knowledge that not a lot of people know about. It's just mad.
Oh yeah, absolutely, bro. We touched on the Tuskegee experiment earlier. You might not
Yes.
have been here for that one, but just to so yeah, we covered a little ground, gave a little background of what led up to the MK Ultra, Operation Mongoose, Tuskegee experiment, Operation Paperclip, Operation Northwoods, the FBI's Operation COINTELPRO, and then of course Operation MK Ultra.
Yes. Yes. And that might have been left before we even got to it. So that's because I don't know how far back these go.
Yeah, exactly. I think they stacked up a bit. Here, I'll
Let's
hit the
keep
next one, huh?
Nowadays, we got information that's on our fingertips.
Real Harvey, that's so true. And the thing that is frustrating is that even with this ease of information, right? Like, so the one paragraph summary that I got from Wikipedia, that was one search, one click. I typed in one thing
Yeah.
and hit search, and there it is. So people don't have enough motivation or energy or drive to just do that, to make 3 clicks, to do a little research. And that's
Well, and the
that's
other
the
thing is
important thing.
that some people will just take that one click in that one search and take that as God's word.
As gospel, right? And you can't do
They'll
that.
take that as gospel. You have to go to a different
Cross-reference.
one. Yeah, exactly. And that's the hard
You
thing
got
that
to
people won't do.
Yeah, and who is the source, right? So, and who is the source? That's key, right? So,
Yeah.
if it's somebody that you're not familiar with, do a Google search on them. Who do they work for? Who's paying that person, right? Because follow the money, baby. Follow the money, right? There's going to
Yeah.
be a motive. It's like a crime. If you want to follow a murder, like oh, this woman
You follow the
ended up dead.
clues.
Oh,
Yep.
was there an insurance policy? First thing, was there money?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Was there money
Okay,
involved? Yep.
follow the
Yeah. What
money,
was the
man.
motivation? The other thing I wanted to say is, yes, we have. We're in the age of information, and at our fingertips, but we also have. We're also at the age of misinformation at our fingertips. And
Yes.
that's that's the hard part, is that like people will take that one link that they search for and they'll take that as gospel, and then it could be the right information, it could be misinformation. And the problem is they'll just take that one link and go with it instead of
So well
looking
put.
at multiple sources. Yeah.
That's so well put. And 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 do the opposite also. When you hear something on the news where you're like, research that, Google that, do a fact check on them. You know, one of the shows that I love is the Jimmy Dore Show, because that's kind of his whole MO. Is he's not really an investigative reporter, but he's looking at what all these people are saying, and then on his show, he'll break it down and either shred them and give counter information, or he'll just debate with them right there live. Like, he started this whole force the vote conversation. That was Jimmy Dore that started that.
Jimmy
Pretty
Dore. What show is that? What is that
the
on?
the Jimmy Dore Show on YouTube. He used to be on TYT, but he left because he didn't like the parameters that he was given. He wanted to be able to talk freely and openly.
Okay. And this is on
And
YouTube.
he's
I'm gonna look that up. That sounds
yeah,
like
and
fun.
he's
I'm
great,
not
and
gonna lie.
he's got no party affiliation. He's he's down with the 1%, up with the 9. Let's end up with the 99. Let's end corruption. So he doesn't. He's not a sycophant for anybody. He's calling out the bullshit on both sides.
That's great. That's what we need.
Yeah,
We need more of that.
totally.
That's what
Yeah.
the news should be, to be honest.
Thank you. Isn't it what it used to be? Kind of just
Well,
a person telling you
yes.
what's going on.
Well, and I think the problem is that it's never going to happen. It's never going to
No.
happen. But what we
No.
need is we need to go back to news twice a day. Tell me what happened
Yes.
while I was sleeping, and then tell me what happened while I was at work. Stop this
Right.
24/7 news, because at that point you're just speculating, and speculation cannot be non-biased.
Thank you. And if you have a 24/7 channel, you have to have content, right?
You have to. I mean,
Have to.
if you want to because it's all about making money. So if you want to make money, you have to have ad space, which means you have to have viewers to see those ads to sell that
Yeah.
space. So
Which
yeah,
means all of
it
a
becomes
sudden you're
all
talking about,
opinion. It's opinion
yeah, and
pieces.
then right, and then you're talking about wedge issues like which bathroom should we use? Do people have a right to marry who they love? Right, we're talking about all these things that are like, wait, are we in a free society? Okay, then those conversations are already done. We're in a free society.
Exactly. Those conversations shouldn't be held out in public as much as they should be kept between a family.
Absolutely, I
There's
couldn't
certain
agree
things
more.
that shouldn't be out in public. Yeah. Let's keep going.
Nowadays, we got all kinds of madness going on in terms of information. So you can find out about the Tuskegee Experiments where they injected black communities with syphilis, and they were doing that for quite a few years. There's also cases where they were choosing radiation on people's brains and trying to, I don't know what they're trying to do.
Well, they're probably trying
Yeah.
to see what radiation does to a human brain. Like,
Oh
I,
man, so there's a great documentary on this one. It's called "The Coming War with China." Let me just Google this to make sure I'm giving you the correct information here. This is a fantastic. Oh my God. So I got to bounce back real quick. We did cover the
yeah.
Tuskegee syphilis study. It went on from 1932 to 1972, and it wasn't the black community. It was even worse than that. It was soldiers. So people who volunteered to be in the American Army as patriots. They got tested on, and they never told them, and they let them die from syphilis, and they just watched how the disease progressed. And they did this to soldiers. Okay?
Wow.
So brutal. Now let me Google this. I just need to find this movie for you because it's
Well,
amazing.
I'm sure their argument was that you know, a soldier's job is to die for their country, and they died for their country for
Sure,
the
and
advancement of science.
progressing the agenda and all that. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Don't you love how humans can rationalize anything? That's just
Oh
so
yeah,
ridiculous.
right?
We can.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hit another bubble while you're looking that up.
please.
I want to start streaming on here, but I don't know what I should do to get a partner to stream with.
Well, one of the things you can do is just continue doing what you're doing, leaving messages in chats of people that you enjoy. That's one of the things that I did was I just kept listening to people and leaving messages and becoming a name in those people's mouths. And then I reached out to their Instagram and direct messaged them and tried talking. Another thing you can do is just literally click go live and it will randomly pair you with somebody. And a lot of people do that. Yeah, even people that have their shows on a regular basis, they'll still just click go live and do a roulette of sorts.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And in my personal experience, I found you, Big Bear. I loved what you and
yeah,
Irish Dad were talking about. You guys were chopping it up. Man, you had me. I was listening for hours, and
yeah,
multiple times. And then I started chiming in, and you guys, gave me a shout out. And I was like, oh man, it feels like I made a connection, like I'm forming a friendship, a relationship here. And so then I reached out to you, and I was happily surprised that you were willing to chat with me. So
yeah. Of
do
course.
that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Is just I'm always going to talk with people that I find to be interesting. And you know, and another thing kept coming into our shows and was definitely very interesting in the stuff that he was saying and contributing to the conversations that we were having. That I was like, all right, let's do this. And then a political show is something that I had not yet done yet, but it is something that I am passionate about. So it was my opportunity to try and do a show like this, which is great. So thank you for bringing me out here and giving me an opportunity to have my voice heard on a political stage just as much as it is heard on any other type of stage.
Yeah, for sure. Win-win, triple win. And we're bringing
Triple
bringing
win.
some information to the people, right? Um,
Exactly. So
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I wanted to say to that last guy, if you want, bro, I'm kind of new on here. I happen to have a pretty wide open schedule right now. I would be willing to help you get started on here. Drop me a message on Instagram. I'll do a show with you. We'll chop it up. I found this documentary I was talking about, The Coming War on China, True Story Documentary Channel. It's on YouTube, and it's harrowing. And what it talks about is part of it. I mean, it goes deep. It's an hour and 52 minutes. Brilliant, tremendous documentary. But they go into the fact that the Bikini Islands, the Marshall Islands in specific, Bikini Island, we tested radiation on these people. We told them that they were fine. They didn't need to leave the islands, yada, yada, yada. Then we dropped bombs all around them and watched how the radiation affected them and watched them die. And it's
Oh
brutal.
my
And
God.
the whole island. So check this out. We refused to evacuate the island. We told these people, no, 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 you're fine. No, 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 you're fine. We kept testing them, and we told them we were treating them, but we were just monitoring. We didn't give them any treatment. It was a fake inoculation.
So we're just giving them
just
placebos.
Thank you. And then watching them die, very much like the Tuskegee Syphilis experiment.
Yeah.
And the United States government refused to evacuate the islands. Greenpeace came and evacuated everybody that lived on the island. Greenpeace, dude.
Wow.
And took them to safety.
That's crazy.
So that's pretty mind-blowing.
That is very mind-blowing.
And once again, it's more. I'm sorry, you go ahead.
No, I was going to say, again, the documentary that, and another thing is talking about is the Coming War on China True Story Documentary Channel. You can find that, type that into YouTube, and you'll be able to find that video.
Mm-hmm. And it just hints to what we were saying earlier, that these are things that we point our fingers at other governments for, like, oh my God, Stalin, oh my God, Hitler, oh my God. I mean, you pick any name, Pol Pot, but here we are. Like you said, who's the biggest gangster?
Yeah, exactly. Who's the biggest gangster in the world? I can tell you exactly.
While we're on the subject of World War II and Winston Churchill and racism and white supremacy, it was Winston Churchill that said, and I quote, "I am strongly in favour of gassing uncivilized tribes, and yet we hold him as some kind of hero." It's really backwards and bizarre.
Wow, that's intense.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. All right. And this is something that I feel that Americans especially are struggling with. It happened.
Yeah.
He said it. He also did really good things. Men and women, the human race is capable of amazing miracles and horrific like death and terrible. I mean, like we are capable of such opposite things, and no one in their life is perfect. And I feel like as a country, people hold on to the past way too much. Like, the whole point of knowing the past is so that you don't repeat it, not so that you hold on to it.
Thank you. Right? If you don't learn the history, if we don't learn our lessons from the past, then we're destined to repeat them, right?
Exactly. And people are getting confused with that. They're holding on to the past as to try and keep it and bring it to the future, and that's just like with all these Robert E. like the statues of the Civil War and stuff like that. Like, I get what you're saying. I get what people are saying, that these men were against our country, but that's still the history of our country. It's the history of our country, and I don't remember that it happened. Acknowledge these men for being a part of our nation's history, but I don't think we need to go as far as like, you know what, tear that guy's face down. Like he's causing way too much trouble today. I don't think so. That's my opinion, though.
Well, you know what? I agree with you, and let me tell you why. Because I think by having that to look at, we're forced to acknowledge the darkness of our history and of our past, and the lessons that we hopefully have learned from that. Now, as soon as we tear that statue down, and that's no longer that, right? Then we don't look at it like, oh, remember that dark part of our history? It was just swept under the rug.
Yeah. Well, it's just like my own personal experience. My family and I, when I was a kid, we went to Salem, Massachusetts. I love Halloween. I love like Salem witch trials, anything to do with Halloween and magic and stuff like that. That I was totally into.
Yes.
So yeah, I was that goth kid that was
Totally.
also, you know. But we went there, and even the museum said that Salem constantly the township tries to get rid of the museums because they don't want the tourism. They don't want to be known as the Salem witch trials anymore. It's like,
right.
Get over your shit. It happened. Like,
it happened.
It happened. Like, I don't think anyone thinks that you people are terrible as a town anymore. No, like, it's not like I leave that museum and just start spitting on everyone in Salem, just being like, how could you do that? You terrible,
you miserable humans.
Exactly. No, it happened. Okay, it's a part of history. Move on.
Right.
Like, let's
you know what?
forward.
Let's touch on that just for a quick second, because there's some interesting history around what led to the Salem witch trials, right? So first of all, I had a relative that was tried as a witch.
Wow.
I guess she sunk to the bottom of the pool and was found innocent.
Oh yeah, that'll happen.
I was hoping that she was found guilty. I would be like, oh, witch in the family,
yeah,
but no.
Exactly. She's found
guilty. Exactly. But found guilty because she sunk to the bottom of the pool. So, or found innocent, I mean. So you're free.
Yeah.
You're free, but you're dead. Oh, whoops. But what may have led to the whole phenomenon is the fact that they had these grain silos where the ergot, the wheat, would get this ergot mold on it. So some historians have hypothesized that they might have been hallucinating. Like this might have been the precursor to LSD. So they might have been tripping balls, and when somebody
because there was the mold on the wheat, right? Like when they were
making
wheat,
and so that's what LSD comes from.
Exactly.
Right. So who knows? Somebody might have been describing what they experienced, hallucinating on this mold, and then somebody's like, "You're a witch."
Well, like you don't listen. You give somebody some LSD, and then you crack an egg into a cup of water, like. And if you see and you tell them if you see a red dot, that means you're gonna die. Like they're gonna freak out.
Yeah,
they're gonna freak out, especially if it's a little girl. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Kids are already afraid of death. They're already afraid of everything in those times, and like now
anything
you're cracking
unknown.
eggs and you're microdosing them with LSD.
Yeah, forget about it.
Yeah, forget about it. Of course they're gonna say some weird shit.
Of course.
They saw like demons and stuff. My gosh. No, I that actually is very apropos to this conversation, which is I didn't think that it would be full circle, but it kind of does come full circle.
Kind of went full circle.
Yeah.
So
Let's keep going.
people, if you're listening, clap it up, people. Let us know you're here.
Yeah, definitely.
Let us know where you're from, what your name is, if you've looked into any of these things yourself. If you have any information on anything that we haven't mentioned, I would love to research that for a future podcast or something. Yeah, let's open up the conversation. I'll go ahead and hit another bubble here, huh?
Yeah, let's go.
You mean weapons of mass distraction. And another thing.
And another thing.
She nailed it, right? Weapons of mass distraction, deception, however you want to call it. Yeah.
I mean, that's all you heard in the news. Like, that is literally for those of you that aren't in America, that is all we heard all the time. That they were looking for weapons of mass destruction in WMDs. We know
All day,
Iraq and
every
Iran
day.
have WMDs. Yeah, we know that. They moved into Afghanistan. WMDs. Like what? What?
Exactly. Yeah. And the irony there is that, you know how we knew Iraq had weapons of mass destruction? Well, in the 80s, we sold them to them. Yeah, we sold them to them and to use against Iran. We gave both sides, right? Like so here's a super gangster tactic. Arm both sides of your enemies and let them fight each other, right? So that's what we did.
I'm sure we did that to some indigenous American tribe. And they're
Oh,
like, man, that was a good move. We should write that one down. Put that in the playbook.
Yeah, exactly. Here's 5 cases of whiskey. Give it to your neighbors.
Yeah, exactly.
I just jumped in when Big Bear was saying, if you're enjoying this, share it. And I hadn't heard anything to enjoy it, but I just know that I've seen Big Bear support me. And another thing always shows up. So big up to both of y'all.
Thank you very much.
MK Ultra. Ooh. I don't know if I got enough patience to listen to this type of stuff. This is heavy. But I'm sure y'all doing a great job. Big up to y'all. Make sure y'all follow these people if you're listening to this message right now. Share it, clap it up, and follow. Follow me too, Rashad Radio. Peace and love.
Thanks, Rashad. Yeah, dude. Follow Rashad Radio.
Yeah, Rashad, man, talk about beautiful voice. That guy, and just killing it, like yourself. He's on here. He's doing real things, talking about real stuff a lot. And yeah, big ups to him. Thank you so much for coming by. And yeah, we got deep into the weeds on this one, but we're trying not to get heavy with it. Just have a conversation, and we're trying to stay with facts.
Yeah, exactly. And I try not to get heavy with too many things. Like if you listen to my shows, I try and keep things pretty light, as long as you just come in being respectful. That's it. Good vibes to everybody.
That's it. We're just having a conversation. We're not telling you what to think. We're just telling you to think.
Exactly. I love that. That was great.
Both of you, by the way. Yeah, thanks for this conversation. I'm actually writing a story right now on that topic we were talking about. It's going to be a good one, I can tell.
Oh, nice. Marlboro, that's awesome. Yeah, dude. Hit me up on Instagram. Shoot me a DM with what your story's about. Let's do a talk about that.
That would be cool. Definitely.
In this world with no pain.
In this world with no pain. Okay. Is that a quote?
Yeah, I don't know. Sounded like it, huh? I wish. I'm ready for that world.
Yeah.
I think you guys are out of control a bit, if you know what I mean.
Oh, at first I thought that was a kid.
Oh, yeah. First, no.
Yeah.
I'll pull back. Sorry.
2 or 3 hours ago, I got a dick pic from Donald Trump. It was a pretty nice dick. I gotta be honest with you, I'm not even gay, but I would fucking suck it or whatever. Fuck it, dude.
There you have it. I always wanted to know who would suck Donald Trump's dick, and now I do.
And there it is. You must like portobello mushroom. You must like mushroom.
One thing I've noticed is that you can actually debunk a good chunk of the conspiracy theories, especially the more wild ones, with a single, very well popular meme of Ryan Reynolds going, "But why?"
I like that.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry. Sorry about that.
Name. Britney Spears, bitch.
Oh, are we gonna get into this Britney Spears as a robot thing again, or a clone?
Have you heard this whole thing going around about clones, and everybody's convinced, or not everybody, but there's a rumor that Joe Biden's a clone, and all these come on, people, really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is when you constantly feed science fiction into people's imagination, then they can believe, well, if it can be thought up, it can be done. And if it can be done, then how is it not done?
Right.
So But you do need to.
And-
I mean, I don't know. You're right. Nobody really knows. I'm not in that knowledge. I'm not in that tax bracket, if you will.
Yeah, same. And I'm not even really that curious about it,
No.
to be honest.
But if they're clones, then why not? I don't know. Like, wouldn't you want to keep going on as a clone? I don't know.
Sure.
Listen, Multiplicity is personally one of my favorite movies. Michael Keaton's great in that movie. It's hilarious.
Bam. Right?
The problem is you don't clone a clone. Just
Yeah.
hopefully they don't do that. That's where
Exactly.
you get Donald Trump.
That's right. The clone of the clone of the clone, right? The 8th generation gave us Donald Trump.
Oh,
Have you watched the show Hunting Hitler? I think it was a History Channel.
Okay.
I believe Hitler wasn't murdered, didn't kill himself at the end of World War II. I believe he escaped and made it to Argentina, I believe, which is crazy.
There's a lot of information to point to that. Once again, I'm not sure on that. I couldn't say that that's what happened, but I have heard that, and I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, if we smuggled out the top 1,600 scientists, really? I mean, they never told us about that, really. So who knows? It's possible. It's possible.
It's true.
Okay, if we're talking about CIA operations, I really want you guys to touch up on a completely bonkers, failed operation called Acoustic Kitty.
Acoustic Kitty.
I don't know anything about Acoustic Kitty.
I'll look that up, but sounds like you're doing some dishes in the background. That was a little brutal, just a FYI.
Yeah, be careful with our ears, please. Let us.
Yeah, I have earbuds in, and I like my hearing.
Also, Acoustic Kitty sounds like a sex thing. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yeah, I'm scared.
And that is the problem with our country right now. I'm sorry, but we are so bad at having discussions where our opinions differ. Like the other night, I was at work and I was talking to my coworker, and we both had different political views, and we were having this civil, great discussion. And then all of a sudden, one of my other coworkers comes up and he says, "Can we please talk about something else?" He was so upset. And I'm sorry, I feel like that's such a big problem, is people don't know how to have a discussion with someone that doesn't agree with them.
Absolutely. That's where it all starts. Open dialogue. If we can't have a conversation, then we're never going to reach a consensus or an agreement on anything. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to touch on that. Like there's a reason I don't talk about politics, and a lot of that comes to one of my uncle's house rules is if you enter his house, there are three things you don't talk about: politics, religion, and school.
Bam.
Because then
leave those
nobody
off
can
the
argue
table?
for anything. Yeah, they just
Right.
leave them
Leave
off
those
the
off the table. We can all get along and have a good time and have a positive experience, being with people that we love and care about.
Yeah. But then that conversation is not had, and you don't understand then you're not hearing their standpoint and where they stand on things. And you're not, what I mean? Like that, it's a double-edged sword with that. Like, yeah, everyone gets along, but at the other end of the spectrum, when you don't have those conversations and all of a sudden 74 million people
right,
voted opposite of where you voted, it was pretty much a 50-50 draw. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Biden won. Joe Biden won the presidency of, the election, but it was very 50-50 in this country. And I was personally shocked by that. But then I thought, why? Why are you shocked by that? These conversations aren't being had. Right. Nobody's explaining their views but that's also something I don't pay attention to.
True.
On Facebook,
yeah.
I if somebody's trolling that way, well, then I don't pay attention to that personally. So I'm choosing my own ignorance in that aspect as well.
I've battled with that myself because I truly believe what you're saying. Unless we can have these conversations, we're not going to get anywhere. So I like to have these difficult conversations with people that don't agree with me, because that's if I preach to the choir, I'm not converting anybody, right? So I like to try to reach across lines. So instead of like insulting a Trumper, I'll ask them, legitimately. I'm honestly interested and curious. What is it that you think he was successful at? It would go back and forth two times. I would give like, okay, well, have you checked out this documentary? I'm not going to watch your documentary, you damn libtard. I'm like, whoa, okay. And then the conversation's over.
Yeah, exactly.
But the other day I was on stereo here, 3.5 hours, man, with this guy. His avatar was white and he came off like a bigot from Alabama. And he nailed the voice. Well, he was just some country bumpkin. He didn't know, and he nailed it, right? And 2.5 hours into it, he's like, dude, I'm a black dude.
Wow.
I just like to chop it up about stuff like this. And he's like, wow, you've been amazingly patient. Most people hang up on me 15 minutes in. Because he would be like, we need to talk about why the white man is a superior race. And I'd be patient going, well, I think it was a black man that invented the pacemaker. So can we look at that? I think the culture that it predated Egypt was a black culture. King Kemet, can we talk about that? And he'd go, I don't know nothing about that. All I know is about the white race.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And people were so fired up. People were leaving him hate messages. And I had to be the moderator and be like, whoa, 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 people, unless we can have this dialogue, we're not going to get anywhere. So it was fascinating because he was just doing it as a social experiment, right?
Yeah. Wow. That's wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mind blow.
It literally doesn't make any sense to me how people honestly look at him, and I'm referring to Biden, and feel like he is capable mentally, physically, everything to run a country. And I'll tell you this, I think the reason is that he is only acting as a puppet. He's not in control. He's being controlled to control the country.
Oh, I would agree that that's every president, that they're picked by the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission, and the Council on Foreign Relations. And if you're not familiar with those organizations, Google them, because they get together and all the leading politicians and business leaders of the world basically decide world policy with no reporters allowed. And yeah, you'll never know what they're discussing.
Well, I mean, I listen, I don't disagree with you. I think every president is a face. Like that's the PR.
Sure.
We had 4 years of someone who wasn't really good or wasn't traditional with being a face of the country, which is what a lot of people liked, was that he wasn't the traditional face that you see in that seat of power.
Right.
And now I think Joe Biden is a comforting face because it's more something that we're used to now.
Mm-hmm. Back to something something that's familiar and comforting in and of that, in that regard alone, that it's familiar, right?
But I think that I also think that a face, because you think about it this way, all right? You have your sports person or your athletes or your what do I want to say? Actress, actor, like just your famous person.
Personality, yeah.
Yeah, you have your personality endorse, and a company pays them to endorse their product.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the presidency is.
Thank you. Spokesmodel.
They're an ideal.
Ultimately.
They're a spokesperson. They're a spokesperson for our country. They're a spokesperson for their party. They're a spokesperson for the American people. They're supposed to be a mouthpiece.
Exactly. They don't have to know everything because they've got a cabinet full of experts on everything. So they get a daily briefing and then they just relate that to the public.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'd like to give a shout out I'd like to give a quick shout out to our listeners here, man. We got like 19 people in the room. I'm super excited. Thank you so much. You guys could be anywhere. You're choosing to hang out with Big Bear Radio and myself and another thing for a minute. Much love for that. If you guys clap, we'll bring some more people to the room with the algorithms.
Yes.
And if you share that, that'll help as well. Bring some more people to the room, expand the listenership, and expand the conversation. Like to give a shout out to Paraki, Track Critter, Bernie Cole, Trippin'
Wait,
CCS.
Rocky's in here?
Yep.
Oh, that's my dad.
Oh, right on.
Thanks, Dad. That's funny.
Trippin' CCS, Sean Gray, 21, Andre 6, Ivan Sade, Andy Lowe's, Imaginique. I am Angelique,
Yes.
sorry. Matt
I am
Attack.
Angelique. Thank you so much, everyone that's leaving comments and hanging out with us. Yeah.
Yeah, much love, much appreciated. We got Knack, Ryan79, Charlie's, Justin Hug, Titanic 2, Woody 1567. Much love to all you. Kingsport Calvin dropped in for a second. Much love, people. Much love. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate the comments. Chime in. Let us know what you think. Have you heard about these different programs? Operation Mongoose, Tuskegee Experiments, Operation Paperclip, Operation Northwoods, FBI's COINTELPRO, and MK Ultra. Have you heard about them? Have you heard of any that we didn't mention? If so, let us know. Drop a link on my Instagram. I'd love to do some research.
Yeah, and at this point, I think the question is like, do you trust your government?
Yeah, right. And if so, why?
If you know about Operation Paperclip, then you know, innit? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
See little motherfuckers, little scientist bastards being brought over, experimenting, doing mad shit, aliens, fucking anti-gravity technology. What the hell are they doing, man?
Great questions. That's great questions. Yeah, we talked about Operation Paperclip for sure. And who knows, you know, what technology came from that, right? So typically the government, the CIA, whoever, they release our technological advancements about 30 years behind, right? Like the hovercraft was invented in the 40s, released to us in the 70s or whatever. The internet was created, released 30 years later to the public. It was created by the military for communication. So we know we're like 30 years behind. And look at the technology that we have today. So that's a mind blow, right?
Right? Drones. Just absolutely nuts. Just absolutely.
Yeah.
Everyone has a computer in their pocket. Computers used to be the size of rooms.
Right.
You have a computer in your pocket.
So if we're 30 years, if the technology is 30 years more advanced than what we have in our hands, but they're not releasing it to us yet, imagine what that is that exists right now today.
Let's keep going.
That's a mind blow.
As Big Bear just brought up, the whole thing about two parties being the issues in America, as someone who's lived in a country with essentially one party, on paper they have multiple, but realistically there's only one party. And, I would say I will take two parties over one party, but realistically I really do believe that for true democracy we need more than two options. We need 3, 4, 5 options, and we don't need to vote on, party lines. We need to vote on actual policies. But of course, that's never going to happen. It is the way it is. It's too late now.
Yeah, track critter. Agreed much. I think we both kind of have said that, and I agree. I think what we should move towards is proportional representation, not a winner-take-all system. But that's my 2 cents on that.
Ooh, okay. Interesting.
Hey, Big Bear. I'm just trolling or creeping, whichever you call it. Anyways, just thought I'd say hi. Hello to the other guy. I forgot to look. I didn't look. I'm just not got on. So, anyways, I'm not making sense. Bye.
I've been there.
Live and let die. I am. And another thing, and I think, chiming in or trolling, it all depends what you say. So I wouldn't say that was a troll.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done that so many times where, like, I've gone on to say hi to the person that I know in the room, and then I try and look at the name of the other person, like, too late while I'm trying to do the message. And it's a dark screen. I get it. It's okay. Don't worry about it. That was great.
Happens to me all the time. So no insult taken. Exactly. I'll go to leave a message, and then the bubble covers the second person's name, and I'm going, dope.
Yeah. Again, another one.
Fucking aliens. These little green motherfucking bastards flying around observing us, trying to probe people. I don't know what's going on, man. The world's gone crazy, bro.
First off,
true that.
You don't know that they're green.
That's it. We don't even know they're aliens. They could just be crazy humans, but who's to say that there aren't or that there are? But yeah, I mean, come on. Green, that's just what we've been told by the TV. So yeah, who knows?
Exactly.
Hey, guys. For the
there he
record,
is.
check your facts, because Obama called Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar after they had dropped out to endorse Joe. Not before they dropped out, but after. Those are the facts, and you need to stay with facts when you're talking about conspiracies.
Thank you, Paraki. And, you know, I don't claim to know everything. I just mentioned that I had heard that. So now that you said it happened afterwards, I will research that. So thank you very much. I'm not saying I'm you know, a source of all knowledge. I think I prefaced that one with I heard. So yeah, thank you. I'll look into that. Appreciate that.
I love prostitutes. Like, please fuck me harder.
Okay. Did you get that one?
I got it.
Good.
Don't worry.
Sorry, you were saying something before I hit the bubble. I didn't.
No. I was just gonna say it's him just trying to keep me honest, and I believe I just said I'd believe that. But yeah, if it happened after, it happened after. It still doesn't take away the fact that, like, what the source that we were talking about, and you're right. If we're gonna be saying things, they need to be accurate. But my feeling of how Joe was just thrust into the cockpit of the presidency over everyone in a matter of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And got everybody's endorsement.
All right, thanks for tuning into another episode and Another Thing with Dave. Please follow, subscribe, and share. I'm on all social media and Another Thing with Dave. And keep seeking the truth.